Well, hello from Dominica. The tourist branding of Dominica claims that this is the Nature Isle, and I suppose it might seem just a little bit presumptuous for any place on earth, any island, to claim that it is the legitimate representative of nature to the human race. But when you come to Dominica, you can see that nature will be hard-pressed to find a better ambassador than this incredibly beautiful, wild and wonderful country of some 750 square kilometers. There's plenty to see and to hear in terms of nature's glorious diversity here, but I think the sense that is going to be the most stimulated is your sense of smell, because apart from the fact that amongst the many natural curiosities here are an abundance of sulfur pools, and this also contains the world's second largest boiling lake. If you venture into the rainforest, even for a few minutes, your sense of smell is overwhelmed by the incredible pungent signature smell of countless things rotting and countless things coming to life as a result. And it's truly a remarkably beautiful testament to the glory of nature. So I think it's entitled to its ambassadorial status as the Nature Isle. But of course, the unique natural, pristine nature of this island, and I think that is the thing that's most attractive about this place, is that it is still very underdeveloped, and the human footprint here is a lot less noticeable than most places you could imagine venturing. But the rugged and wild nature of the landscape has actually had a very positive cultural legacy in terms of human culture as well, because this is pretty much the last remaining spot where you have a living Carib culture. Now, there are other places like St. Vincent, the small island of St. Vincent, and also some different parts of mainland South America where the Carib culture is still in existence. But within the Caribbean itself, the Caribs, who obviously gave the name to the Caribbean as the dominant native tribe in this area, they were basically hunted to extinction or largely exterminated since the arrival of the Europeans. So you have in Grenada Caribs Leap, where the French watched the last 40 Caribs leap to their death rather than be captured. You have in St. Kitts Bloody Point, where about I think 3,000 Caribs were massacred, and the blood ran red for 3 days in the river. And even here in Dominica, where there is so the Caribs weren't exterminated but still maintain to this day a living culture, you have a town called Massacre, probably the least charming name of a town you could imagine, but it's named appropriately enough after another sorry tale of betrayal and cultural chauvinism. And in this case it actually has a bit of a less than brotherly love, because the short version of the tale of Massacre is that Carib Warner, who was the son of Thomas Warner, who was responsible for the first the massacre in St. Kitts, he was basically the son of Thomas Warner and a Carib woman from Dominica. So basically he grew up with quite a lot of prejudice, being basically neither one thing or another, neither being English nor Carib. But he left where he grew up in St. Kitts and came to Dominica, and he actually established a position of some leadership here amongst the local Carib population, and the governor of the island, the English governor, found him quite useful in terms of building up positive relationships with the local Carib population. But his brother Philip, who was purely English, so basically Thomas Warner's English family, he didn't actually share any great feelings of brotherly love towards Carib, and he basically came here and pretended to his brother Carib Warner that he was coming in a spirit of brotherly friendship and wanted to get to know him, and that invited him and his fellow leaders to dinner. And then during the dinner, once he got them suitably drunk, he basically slaughtered his brother, which was the signal for all his men to start attack attacking the Caribs, and a massacre of the native population ensued. And that would be, as I said, quite typical of what happened in other parts of these islands. Now, the one thing that is actually different about this place is actually the Caribs survived. They weren't eradicated from Dominica. In fact, there is now a Carib territory here, 3,700 acres, where the remaining Carib population of 3,000 people, which is about 4% of the total population here, maintain their culture to this day. So, again, a very significant reduction on the numbers of Caribs that existed prior to the European arrival, but it is a special testament to, or one of the unique cultural features of Dominica is that at least the Carib population managed to get past the European slaughter and managed to maintain enough of themselves to maintain a living culture to this day. Now, there are a couple of other cultural curiosities of this place. This was the place of the first black legislature, or majority black legislature in the Caribbean. When the British were in a spirit of liberalisation, they gave basically manhood suffrage rights to the population, or a selected portion of the population, the more or less property merchant class, which included the black population, or a number of the black population here, to vote in elections. And of course, funny enough, once there was a majority of black electorate, their interests and what they voted for diverged from the traditional English landowning class. So pretty soon the British decided to row back on their commitment to democracy and to a reasonable, not quite perfect, but a reasonable degree of colourblindness when it came to elections, to restore the status quo and basically to delete the rights that they'd actually just given the by now overwhelmingly black population of this island. So there's some of the human footprints on this island. It's like all the elements of the Caribbean. It's ripe with a really full and dramatic history, but I do think that despite that richness of the history, it's just the spectacular and natural beauty of this place that really blows your mind, and I think it would be hard-pressed for anybody to find a more pristine, enchanting or beautiful place on earth. So if you can, come to Dominica.